I don't know what that was. Anyway, what's going on, YouTube? This your boy Sid Real back again with another video, man. And today we have one of my favorite ranges in one of my favorite games, which is Gun World VR. It's nice, nice little shooting range. As you can see, I got my Barrett here, ready, already dialed in. Well, that's not really dialed in, but it's already focused. So, and it's semi, so we can take shots. And it's still a little unstable. I'll let it ricochet. But anyway, that's not what we came here for, man. What we came here for is a topic. And one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today was VR games in general. And why I think that the problem with VR, not the problem with VR, but the problem with VR games. VR as a system is pretty much set in stone. All thing you're doing now is improving on the current system. But I mean, as far as the fundamentals go, I think we got pretty much what we need to have a pretty good game. I think memory and everything else, like the storage and how big the games can be is the. Oh, that's way off. Let's reload that. But I think the storage and how big the games can be is one of the things that I think they got to work out. And then there's also developers. There's not enough developers, especially AAA developers, to really like give us AAA quality games. And that's cool. And the other thing that's the problem is that VR games never really seem complete. And let's take this game for example. This game right here has, in my opinion, some of the best gun mechanics that you possibly can get from a VR game when it comes to actually shooting a real rifle. Now, there's things about this that you won't necessarily get, like as far as like the feel, the weight, and all that other stuff. But the point and shoot aspect of it is beautiful. I freaking love it. Through a target. Smoked. Ooh, get nuts. Let's raise it up a little bit. But anyway, so the titles that we get, oh, it has something in it. The titles that we get usually don't have anything in them. And most of the titles that has somewhat of something in them is usually a multiplayer game, or it's a shooter, or it's some type of other game. I don't know. I guess like I forgot the different genre. I don't know. VR has a strange genre. You know, you got your FPS, you got your RPGs, you got your shooters. You got your story-based games. Not story-based games, because there are story-based games, but there's not story-based action games. And the difference between flat games and VR games is that the flat game's been around since the 80s. VR is virtually new, like yesterday. So they're not going to have a lot of games. They're not going to have a lot of developers. They're not going to have a lot of people that actually put these games together. But the people who do put the games together, I appreciate them, like this game here and all the other games. But after playing games like Resident Evil and what was it? I think that's Resident Evil and it's that shooting game. I forgot what it was called. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go through my archives real quick. Oh, wait a minute. I can't. I'm in game. It's the game where you killing what? I forgot the name of that game. Now it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's another shooting game. and it's kind of story based, but we're going through different levels and shooting different bad guys, which is fine. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you come from a AAA title world where you are having fully flushed out story based games that you can really immerse yourself into, I mean, VR is just a perfect platform for that. But the games that they got just don't do that. And Resident Evil 4, or Resident, I think, no, I forgot. It was Resident Evil 2, I think what it was. But games like that with a fully flushed out story, different levels, you know what I'm saying, enemies, just, I mean, it really spoils you. And everything you go to after that, in my opinion, is like basically playing a multiplayer shooter. I mean, regardless of if it's a shooter or not, it's still some kind of multiplayer game, and there's no real story aspect. Like even when I was playing Resist is another good game that had a story, but the story was so short that it seemed like it was a tech demo, and it was like, is this it? Like, is this like, I can't play this more than once. Like once I got it, I mean, there's nothing else to do, and all the enemies are pretty much just a rinse and repeat like situation. I mean, in my opinion, I think VR will only stagnate if the games don't get better. The games gotta get better, and that's what we want to see: is the games get better. Like this game here, this is no reason why this game shouldn't be something. But what I think it is that these developers give us a bunch of assets that they collect, put it in the game, and then give it to us and sell it to us for like $5. And then basically all they are is just sandbox games. Make your own games. Bring your own games. That's what we're gonna call them. But I call them sandbox games. Like they're not really meant for anything other than just doing this. Just finding something to do. And hold on. I got him with this one. Boom in the chest. I'm telling you, man, that sway is real. I am not doing that. I'm trying to put it on target, but the gun just sort of sways off and does whatever it wants. So I gotta sort of try to find the. Let's turn the zoom out. See if we get some stability like that. Look. I was saying something. I get caught up in this shooting sometimes, y'all. And like, if you was like where I was and you just sitting there pointing and shooting a 50 caliber, you'd get a little distracted too. There we go. Domed him. Oh, let's see if we can hit this dude right on the corner. A little parallax right there. Tagged him. Smoked him. Anyway, so here, let's reset. All right. So when it comes to VR games, I love them, but I'm disappointed most of the time. Like I can play them until I get tired of them, and then I don't want to play no more. Because that's what happened with Contractors. Before the update, before all the maps that was added, I didn't play the game. I mean, I played the game to a high level, and then I just stopped because it got boring. Because I was basically going through the same maps. Same thing happened with Onward. I started playing so much. I get the mechanics of it. I get good, and then I don't really want to play no more because it's like, okay, I'm tired of shooting people. I mean, it's always fun, but after a while, you don't want to really play so hard all the time. Sometimes you really just want to do, you want to fight some AI bots, or you're not AI bots, but AI enemies and different enemy types, and you want to do that type of stuff, and you don't really get to do that type of stuff in a lot of VR games because a lot of VR games don't really have a lot of stuff in it to do anything. So you're basically just, like I said, you're playing a glorified tech demo, and it's cool, but it's like, why implement all this stuff to do nothing with it? Like, it's all this cool stuff, but nothing is done. Like, I only paid what, I think $10 for this game, maybe $15 for this game, and I wouldn't even really call it a game. I would basically call it a tech demo. It's cool. You got different levels. I mean, different environments that you can go to, but most of the AI is programmable. I'm not programmable, but I mean, you plug in the uh the AI, and then the AI fights you from whatever distance that you're putting them at. But you're not really doing anything. You don't look for them. You're not getting into a game where you feel like you're being challenged or competing. Not competing so much as like in multiplayer, because you got multiplayer to compete. But I'm talking about, like, you don't get to immerse yourself in that world of the game set for you, and especially when it comes to shooters, and especially when it comes to quest shooters, because there's a difference between PC VR shooters and quest shooters. Now, I don't have a PC, and I don't really plan on getting one just to play VR games. I love VR games, but I'm not going to do all that just to play VR games. I mean, it's almost like the same thing with Xbox and PlayStation. Like, you don't want to just buy a whole new PlayStation just to play Spider Man. You just don't play Spider Man. You'll play it whenever it comes to the Xbox. It's the same thing with PC and VR and the Quest. It's like you'll just wait until it comes to the Quest, before you go get a $2,000 PC and, set up all this, stuff just to play a VR game that you can't play on the Quest. Like, it's I mean, there's other benefits to having the PC. Yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, if you just want to play it for the express purposes of actually playing the game, then yeah, you really don't want to exercise all that monetary sacrifice just to play a game. So we get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, which is, this is the problem with VR. This is the number one problem with VR. There's not enough content, and the games don't draw you in with anything specific. It's just more or less like, here's a bunch of physics, here's a bunch of cool things you can do, and here's an environment which you can do it in, but there's no real story, there's no real characters, there's no real nothing. It's just a base bones game. And if you got that game in a flat screen game, you wouldn't play it. You'll call it trash. It wouldn't even mean nothing. In VR, it's almost like the standard. Is to give us bare bones base games with nothing really in it other than the bare minimum, and then call it a game. And I think people are doing multiplayer games because they're easier to do, because you don't have to give the audience much other than a reason to shoot each other with like game modes and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, I'm talking. Let's shoot and talk. Let's shoot and talk, because I'm about to wrap this video up, because it wasn't really too much. I really had much to say as far as like details go, and as far as like any facts or statistics or articles that came out, anything like that. But I am that's so satisfying. That is so satisfying. I would rather do that to an enemy in the game with some kind of scenario going around with this big 50 caliber gun. Anyway, um, let's go get another gun, right? And finish out this video, because I know y'all want to see some gun stuff going on. So we're gonna go with my absolute second favorite gun, only because they don't have my first favorite gun, which is the AK-105. If you don't know, you should know. Anyway. Oh, wow. What a ricochet. Anyway, so can I can't dial this in. That's just where it's at. But yeah, so you get to the point where you're like, these aren't really games anymore. I don't even know if we can call them games. I think what we can call them is just glorified demos. Because it gets to the point where you're not even really playing the game anymore. You're just doing things in the game. Like, if there was a way to port like regular 2D games into VR, that would be great. That way you don't really have to like come up with any like original ideas. You could just use properties that's already been made already and then just give that to us in VR and get the ball rolling that way. But just leaving us with stuff like this. No disrespect to the developer, because I mean, the dude who put all this together, I really appreciate. I really do, because you gave me ample amount of hours of fun, hours of fun. Not like continuous hours, because I can't do this for hours. But if I ever get into a mode where I just want to shoot, then I definitely can do this. Cause oh right. Oh, because it had a round in it, right? This was empty. Oh no, it's not empty. Oh, because it's on safety. Look at that. You don't get that in 2D games. You don't get that in flat games. You don't get keeping it on safety as a feature, and it was your fault. And these scopes work so well. I mean, honestly, man, I am mad at this developer. I love them and I absolutely hate them because you got all this goodness in this game. And it's basically for nothing. It's basically for nothing because there's nothing to do other than grab a gun, set up targets, and shoot at them, which is fine. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm saying that I wouldn't call that a game. I would call that a demo. Look at all these assets that I got, and this is what they can do. This is pretty much what VR games has boiled down to. Now, when you got games like Zenith and you got games like uh Blade and Sorcery and all these other games. Well, no, I would say, well, Zenith is more supposed to be like a massive, a MMO. But at the end of the day, what it becomes is a repetitive slash game that doesn't really have anything to it other than, like I said, the bare bones minimum of what a game should have. Like different variations of attacks, blocks, stuff like that. But when you're talking about us shooters, because I guess that's really what I'm talking about is more or less us shooters. I'm not really complaining about the other type of games because those type of games are kind of pitiful. But like in the flat game world, you have a bunch of people who like shooters. I cannot hit that. I can't keep the scope still. And that's not actually a bad feature. That's actually a good feature. It's just that if it was implemented in the game that correlates with the objective of the game, then I mean I wouldn't mind that, but it's like, okay, does attachments make the scope, I mean the gun make stabilize the gun? I mean, if that's one of the things, then that's cool. But can you imagine if you was like in a game where you can have a SOCMOD Block 2 that you can fully, adjust and make it your own and have it be part of an actual story in the game where the gun is like a character within itself instead of just a prop. But anyway, that's my rant. That's how I feel about the problem with VR and well, not VR, but the problem with VR games. It's just they glorify tech demos and it's not much to them. And after a while, you get bored of them. You can go back to them, but eventually you will get bored of them because you'll be like, okay, this is the reason why I got bored in the first place. Because like I said, Zenith is one of those games that's cool, and I understand the concept was to try to immerse yourself, but eventually all you're doing is slash 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 slash, depending on what uh, 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 class you got. And I understand there's cooking aspects and all this other stuff, but when it comes to actual combat and VR, oh, and that's another thing about VR combat is that VR combat is pretty much you, your hands, and your swords. So you don't really get a third person perspective about how you actually slice and dice and all these cool fancy moves that you do. You're pretty much stuck to just whatever your hands can do. So that's another eh, that's another, I say, con to VR games is that you can't really have like that many action games because unless the person is, don't have any real special moves and you're not really looking for that, you're pretty much getting blade and sorcery and just repackaged into something else, whether it's swords, maces, freaking alien laser, cannon, rocket, staffs. I don't know, something cool. I don't know. But I mean, you get the point, So it'll seem very repetitive, but there can be a genre like a blade and sorcery genre and a shooter genre that you know pushes the boundaries of innovation when it comes to VR. And that's what we need is we need more developers pushing the boundaries of VR, and we need the developers who are already making the games to at least finish what they start and give us something instead of just having us pay for these tech demos and then leaving the game and like, well, there you go. Because it's like, okay, that was cool, but is there anything else? Like that's it. But anyway, that's my appreciate y'all hanging out. Oh, wait. Before we end that, because I ain't gonna do you like that. We gotta blow some things apart. Full auto style. I wasn't gonna do you like that. Let's go. So satisfying. I knew that would. 30-round magazines. That recoil is a bitch. Like they really could implement this in a really cool. Anyway, that was horrible. But we're gonna end it there, y'all. All right.